What do you get when you mix Evil Dead's abominations entering the human realm during rabbit season, and a vengeful space marine out for blood, the equivalent of John Wick before John Wick was even a thing, and at the same time makes John Wick look like he's as slick with a gun as much as a stormtrooper is as slick at hitting a single target over the course of 3 trilogies? That's right, you get Doom. Now's the time to grab the most aggressively metal, warm and cozy beverage, and your blood-soaked space helmet and kiss your pet bunny goodbye, because it is time to rip and tear. Before we start, I'd like to thank everybody who participated on a poll I made a few weeks ago, and the message was loud and clear. A lot of you really want me to cover the Doom series on this channel, so here it goes. Up until about 3 years ago or so, my history with the Doom games was practically non-existent. This series has been around longer than I've been alive, and it wasn't until a few years ago that I started getting into it, starting with the 2016 reboot. And it was easily one of the most epically frenetic first-person shooters I've ever shotgun blasted my way through. This year I hopped into Doom Eternal, and once again, just blown away. After that, I felt it was only natural for me to be curious about how great the old games must have been to have such an influence over these reboots. It was surprising to see that the entire collection is available on the PlayStation 4, which is still my go-to system. So now I'm making it a point to finish each and every last one of these games, and today we're starting with Doom 1, more specifically, Ultimate Doom. I didn't have the highest of expectations going into this game given how old it is, but at the same time I expected that by the end of the game I'd grow an appreciation for its colossal impact over the first-person shooter genre. So what are my thoughts on Doom 1 exactly? Well, for starters, I kind of underestimated this game. I had no doubt that this was an amazing game back in the day, but in 2021, I was not expecting it to hold up so well. Talk about aging like a fine wine. Now with that being said, I don't think that the first Doom game holds a candle to some of the other ones in the series, but this is still one of the most fun games I've played this year, and that's saying something. Now I'm not saying that to take away from how good this game is or how special it is. I'm just saying the other games are just somehow even better than this. I haven't played all of the games yet, and I know there are some deviations here and there, but for the most part this series seems to be bringing out banger after banger. Throughout the entirety of my playthrough, which was set on Hurt Me Plenty mode, I know it's not ultra violence, but whatever, I kept asking myself, what makes this game tick? What is it about the first Doom game that is so special and phenomenal that even the reboots decided to go back to this style? And I think it comes down to 3 ingredients, one of them being the gameplay loop, the other being the sound and music, and the last one being the identity. So starting with the gameplay loop, let's go over the most obvious part of it all, the combat. This is what you will be doing for like 90% of the game, so it's definitely something the game needed to get right. And to say that Doom actually got it right is an understatement. The only way I can put it is that Doom's combat is stupendous. At its core, Doom is an arcadey first-person shooter where the words first and shooter pertain more to the idea of shoot first and ask questions never after that than to the actual perspective and genre that it names itself after. It doesn't take itself too seriously, and it focuses on not just being ridiculous, but ridiculously fun. It isn't preoccupied with delivering some riveting narrative or scripted set pieces in the slightest. The games do have some lore to them, but the only thing you need to know about Doom's story is that it has one. The premise is pretty simple. You're a space marine who's been stationed on Phobos and finds everyone dead. There are demons taking over and you've got a shotgun. It is the entire army of hell with pyro and magic stats maxed out versus one doofus who never runs out of ammo even when he runs out of ammo because the real BFGs are the big fucking guns on this dude's biceps. And he's not even leveled up yet. Oh no. This is just his way of mourning the loss of his pet rabbit, who ended up getting the Ned Stark treatment and the equivalent of a John Wick inciting incident. And since this is a guy who would shoot someone's eyeball out over a protein shake, I would not say that this was one of the demon's finest moments if you ask me. The game was rigged to fail from the start, boys. Time to pack up shop. You're going to... Well, you're already from hell, so where the fuck do they go after this? Anyway, as you can tell, the story takes a backseat in the grand scheme of things, and it doesn't even matter at all. What does matter is that you're the Doom guy. The gun is your turntable, the map is your dance floor, the demons are the uninvited guests, and you are the DJ whose idea of demons having a blast is to literally blast them off the face of the galaxy like an unsuspecting tortoise in a minefield. To accomplish this, you're given a small but satisfying variety of weapons at your disposal. You start off with a handgun that serves as filler until you get to the shotgun. shotgun, which will be your primary weapon for most of the game, as the ammo is dropped frequently by the common shotgunners, and while it's not the best in some situations, it's definitely the most well-rounded gun of them all. As per usual, this shotgun is no joke at close range, but it's actually even just as deadly at long range. If I sound surprised, it's because most games would have you believe that shooting a shotgun at anything other than point-blank range is as effective as throwing a rubber duck at a dinosaur. Unfortunately, these shotguns are almost always limited to close range to balance the weapons out, but I really enjoy how Doom makes this gun so freaking versatile. I wish more games did this. You can save some of that precious shotgun ammo by using your fists, and it works surprisingly well on some enemies, including the pinky demons and the invisible counterparts known as specters. Then you got the chain gun, which comes quite in handy against mobs of imps and humanoids during ambushes. The rocket launcher is an interesting double-edged sword. It dishes out insane amounts of damage to even the most dangerous of enemies, and that's usually the Doom guy. Depending on your luck, one misfire at close range is all it really takes to start the level over. Then you have the chainsaw, which is basically a faster version of the fist, and it works tremendously well at finishing off demons and lost souls. The plasma gun is one of my favorites. This thing is both fast and deadly and can make a joke out of all of the enemies. Its only real downside is the ammo scarcity. And last but most certainly not even close to being the least, you have the BFG. This is the last gun you usually get, and for good reason. This is usually the best weapon in any Doom game. You pull this bad boy out in front of even the toughest Baron of Hell, Cyber Demon, or even the Spider Demon, and you're guaranteed to hear one of them say, "I have a wife and kids," which is then followed by the Doom guy going full Bully Maguire by asking them, "You want forgiveness? Get religion," and then proceeds to disintegrate them using the BFG, forever cementing the fact that Doom is unironically the most Christian game ever made. It still boggles my mind how a game this old can have a gameplay loop that is this satisfying. It's no wonder it keeps getting ported to modern consoles. What's surprising about the original Doom game is how important it is to take your time. Instead of hopping from one big arena to the next, the original Doom game consists of lots of maze-like maps filled with ambushes and secrets around every corner. The game is split into 4 episodes, with each of them consisting of around 6 to 8 levels, maybe 10 if you count the secret ones. The first 2 episodes take place on the moons of Mars. First you go through Phobos and then proceed to clear out Deimos. The third and last real episode of Doom 1 takes place in Hell, where you end up finding your pet rabbit dead upon completion. The fourth and final episode is actually a bonus one, designed as an epilogue to Doom 1 and as a prequel that sets up Doom 2. I have a love and hate relationship with this final episode. The first few maps bring out some of the worst and most frustrating aspects of the game, but the later maps are some of the best. I'm not exactly sure why, but this is probably my favorite episode despite the problems. I do think episode 1 has the best and the most consistently good level design overall. However, episode 4 ramps up the enemy count substantially, and despite the sharp difficulty spike, I really enjoyed the change of pace from exploration to the more familiar and frenetic combat situations that I am used to from the modern games. I think the reason why episode 4 is so thrilling is because it makes you desperate to keep looking for a vantage point. You get flanked more often and the game demands of you to improve if you want to survive. It feels like every 2 seconds it's trying to push you out of your comfort zone. It even feels like it's throwing more power-ups at you to incentivize you to play more assertively. If it wasn't for episode 4, my impression of Doom 1 would probably be that it started off on a really good footing and then quickly lost its momentum by the 3rd episode. I probably wouldn't have put too much thought into how I feel about the game simply because I just wasn't a big fan of the episodes that came after the first. Although the fact that I found myself constantly starting over with no weapons and forgetting to save often probably contributed to that feeling of not enjoying these episodes that much. And I feel like that was the biggest breakthrough with episode 4. It kind of served as a growing pain. The difficulty was finally at a point where the game started to teach me the importance of saving quite often. That is probably the biggest lesson I took away from Doom 1 and carried on to Doom 2. I feel as though episode 4 was just as much of a breakthrough for me as a player to discover my potential as much as it was a breakthrough for the Doom franchise itself to come into its own and fully realize where its identity truly lies. I firmly believe that this is the real key takeaway as to why Doom is such a timeless franchise. It's not just the mod community, it's not just the innovation it brought to the table, it's not just the fun gameplay mechanics either, it's not even just the memorable soundtrack or the instantly recognizable sound effects, or the imagery that was shocking and provocative at the time. It's the identity. Doom is without a doubt one of the greatest power fantasies to ever grace the video game industry, and by power fantasy I'm not referring to it as something cursed with a bad connotation. It is an outlet for interactivity, a challenge that stimulates the senses in a way that is extremely rewarding to revisit over and over. It's what makes it so replayable. Doom's biggest asset is its level of self-awareness. It knows it's funny and ridiculous, it knows that behind the hellish imagery lies an air of goofiness, but beneath that comical diabolical exterior lies a monster that is ready to take on both the inner and outer demons of our mental and physical world. The Doomslayer is a personification of the extreme control we desire in the chaos and the hell of our lives. Doomguy reinforces the anti-hero archetype that is capable of resonating with so many people throughout the world without uttering a single word. He is a blank canvas. He's the Ash Williams of this universe, the sci-fi version of John Wick and the man with no name. One of my all-time favorite Hollywood actors since childhood, Jim Carrey, once said this about the man with no name: "I think the reason why he had no name is so that we can fill in our own." And to be perfectly honest, I think that's the beauty that Doom captured right from the start. It wasn't the most fully realized version of this idea, but the essence was always there. And I think deep down that's probably the real reason behind Doom's long-lasting success, and why it became a timeless catalyst. And with that, the Raven draws to a conclusion. Guys, thank you so much for supporting the channel. The 27th of December marks 1 year since it started, and somehow it's about to reach the 1,000 subscriber milestone, if you believe it. I get comments asking me, how does this channel have so little subs all the time in every single video? If you enjoyed these videos, consider subscribing. That would help out a ton. Click the like button, the subscription, notification bell, all that jazz. That would be the best Christmas and New Year's gift that I could possibly ask for. Thank you all for watching, for supporting the channel, and I'll see you next time.